is Meron Mammo, and I'll be your tutor for mathematics. Welcome to Evangadi tutoring program. Just to introduce myself, my name is Meron Mammo again, and I actually completed my high school education at Stanford International School. And just to give you an introduction about how we're going to proceed in this tutoring program, we'll be using a framework that I like to call KEEN, and it's basically an acronym, and each word stands for something specific in how we're going to proceed with the topics in your education, and specifically math, which is what I'm going to be teaching you. K stands for keep. If you have anything first you have to understand that the main difference between learning in a classroom and having a tutor to tutor you is the privateness of tutoring. When you're in a classroom, it's not that easy to just put your hand up and ask whatever you want, because the teacher is teaching for a lot of students. But when it's tutoring privately, you can ask whatever you want, and I can teach based on your specific needs. So this KEEN framework will help me do this. So whenever we start the lesson, I'll be asking you, do you have any KEEN topics from today's class or yesterday's class or from this week's class in your normal school? So K basically stands for if you have any trouble keeping up with the topic, if the teacher was going too fast. E stands for if you just want to do exercises on that specific topic. For example, if the topic was functions, then you understand all the concepts, but you just want to exercise more, because practice makes perfect. So if you want to exercise more, you tell me that you want to exercise more. The other E stands for when you understand a topic, but you want to explore deeper, because knowledge has no limit. So although there are many things that scientists have already discovered, there are still things that we can discover too. So if you want to explore more than just your syllabus, you can tell me that too, and I will research, and I will also teach you more advanced topics if you are interested in that. And N stands for I have no idea. So if there's a topic in class that the teacher is teaching and you have no idea what they're talking about, sometimes that can happen, and that's what I'm here for. So in that case, you tell me, and I will explain it specific to your needs, making sure that you understand every single topic, and make sure that you are going in the same pace and even higher than your classmates. Okay, so these KEEN topics can be shared at the beginnings of each lessons, or you can email me anytime you want. I'll make sure to respond at the fastest convenience, and I'll make sure that the next tutoring services or the next tutoring class will be tailored to those specific topics that you expressed in the KEEN points. So today, let me just give a demo lesson, and the topic for today's lesson will be trigonometry. Okay, so trigonometry is just a fancy word. It's a fancy branch of geometry and different kinds of angles and sides, and they're basically functions. So there are three main functions that we study at the elementary stage in trigonometry. Those are sine, cosine, and tangent. So what are functions anyway? Functions are basically models or machines that transform an input called x into an output called f of x or y. So basically, in the case of trigonometric functions, the input becomes an angle called theta. What is theta? Well, theta is a Greek letter, and it stands for the angle measured from the positive x-axis in a coordinate system. So that angle is the input in our function for trigonometric functions. And the output becomes the value of sine of theta, or cos of theta, or tangent of theta, depending on which trigonometric function we are working on. So what functions apply? Well, there's something we need to know. Trigonometric functions at an elementary stage are focused specifically on right-angled triangles. What does that mean? It means triangles that have one side of 90 degrees, mostly drawn like this, with a rectangle on one side. Now, the side opposite to that right angle is called the hypotenuse. The side that's for an angle theta measured from the positive x-axis, the side that is close to it or touching it on the other side except the hypotenuse is called the adjacent side. And the side that is directly opposite to that angle is called the opposite side. So, what is an acronym that we can use to define trigonometric functions? It's called SOHCAHTOA. What does it stand for? Well, I'm pretty sure you know about this and your teacher has been telling you about this, and it's very repetitive in textbooks, but SOHCAHTOA can be really useful at the beginner stage to remember how these trigonometric functions are described. So the trigonometric functions are basically ratios. They're ratios of two sides, the sides that I just described. So each trigonometric ratio has a relationship between two of these sides. For example, so sine is equal to the length of the opposite angle over the length of the hypotenuse. Cosine is equal to the length of the adjacent side over the length of the hypotenuse side. And tangent is equal to the length of the opposite side over the length of the adjacent side. So these functions can basically be thought as ratios. And what ratios are basically the relationship between two numbers. So how do we find the values of these functions when we're given a certain value of theta? Now, we want to remember that at a primary stage of education, we focus on angles that are called the special angles, which are 30 degrees, 60 degrees, and 45 degrees. Now, why do we focus on these? It's because they are simpler to work with. Of course, we will get into more advanced topics after primary school. And if you want, you can use the keen outline to ask me more advanced questions if you're interested in going beyond these basic special angles. Now, knowing the values of these functions is what we will be doing in our next lesson. But for today, I want you to remember that trigonometric functions are basically ratios of two numbers. And they are found by using the certain value of theta, which is measured from the positive x-axis, like this. They use that angle as the input to the function of the trigonometric function. So I want you to remember that trigonometric functions are one, ratios of two numbers that can be remembered by the acronym SOHCAHTOA. B, that theta is an angle measured from the positive x-axis in a coordinate plane. And that trigonometric functions are mostly restricted to right-angle triangles. Thank you for your time. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your day. Till next class, bye. Please feel free to email me about any questions you have or any keen topics.